In 1818, Percy Bysshe Shelley, husband of Mary Shelley, wrote a poem called Ozymandias. The poem describes a traveler recounting someone they met on the road who told the speaker about a ruined statue in the desert. This statue is supposedly of Ozymandias, some ancient king who proclaims himself King of Kings, and says that all ye mighty should look upon my works and despair. The statement is intended as a boast or even a threat from when Ozymandias' land was prosperous and thriving. But now, all that is left of his kingdom is rubble, and it's covered by the sands of the desert. The poem is not so subtly commenting on the fact that all things do come to an end, and that nothing lasts forever. But you could also interpret this as Ozymandias somehow warning all ye mighty of this as well. Perhaps Ozymandias' message isn't a boast, but a warning to all would-be conquerors and emperors that their domains will not last forever. So, what does a 200-year-old poem about a 3,000-year-old Egyptian pharaoh have to do with Pokemon? Honestly, more than you might think. Earlier this year, I took part in a Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green book club of sorts. We were encouraged to close read the game and really analyze what the game is saying to us in a way that, as a kid, numerous times I played these games, I didn't pay this much attention. These games say a lot very subtly that younger me wasn't as focused on examining, and because of that, I'd never noticed these things. One thing that has never been particularly hidden is the story of Mewtwo. But while that skeletal structure of that story is very well known, on this particular playthrough of Leaf Green, I kept noticing little notes, bits, clues, elements of environmental storytelling that I had not noticed on those previous playthroughs, and whose inclusion and placement, I feel, honestly says a lot more than just a Bulbapedia article reiterating the context of a text box from the game. Let's start with a few surrounding context clues. Exhibit A is Porygon. Porygon is a Pokemon that, according to some notes you find in the Silphco building, was created by the Pokemon laboratory that we found on Cinnabar Island. However, in the entirety of Fire Red and Leaf Green, there is only one place that you can actually find Porygon. It's a prize at the Rocket Game Corner. There are no routes, there are no other gift locations. It's just here at the Rocket Game Corner. Whether this means that Team Rocket stole Porygon from Silphco, or maybe they've just infiltrated Silphco enough to get access to this Pokemon, it establishes a connection between the Rockets, who you can get it from, Silph, who clearly was involved in its development, and Cinnabar Island, where it seemingly came from. Following the trend of Pokemon only found in a few places is Exhibit B, Ditto. In Fire Red and Leaf Green specifically, Ditto can be found in technically 5, but geographically 3 places. The first of those places, and the one that counts as multiple, is Route 13 through 15. That route in the east from Fuchsia to Vermilion City. Ditto can be found here as a rare encounter, and the other 2 places it can be found are Pokemon Mansion and Cerulean Cave. The connection between the mansion and the cave is most important here, as if the game is establishing a relationship between the genetic clone, Mewtwo, and the genetically fluid, Ditto. There are theories, of course, that Ditto was a failed clone of Mew. Maybe this is hinting towards that being correct. Or maybe in some other way Ditto was involved in the cloning process, and Mewtwo's escape prompted a bunch of Dittos to scatter along the path it took. So let's break down what we know. Blaine is a scientist who is friends with Mr. Fuji, as we can see from their photo in the Cinnabar gym. The lab on Cinnabar has ties to Silphco, and possibly to Team Rocket. There was a large, burned-out mansion on the island, with journals chronicling the discovery of Mew and the creation of Mewtwo. Crucially, this mansion is also where Blaine has left the key to his gym in a very intentional way, and many of the trainers in his gym seem like they might have been recruited from the mansion's ruins. Let's circle back to Percy Shelley for a moment. I would argue that the mansion is Blaine's great work, and he is our Ozymandias, a brilliant scientist who helped create a brand new artificial Pokemon, who was blinded by his hubris, by his pride, and so lost the mansion laboratory and possibly his life's work. And this isn't even factoring in the idea that there may have been lab assistants or such who were injured or even killed during whatever fire or chaos was caused as Mewtwo fled. But while Mr. Fuji seemingly put distance between himself and the destruction, maybe feeling a sense of guilt or a need to atone for his involvement that led to his founding of the rescue in Lavender Town, Blaine stayed behind. He didn't leave the island, and assuming that he is indeed planting the key at the end of the mansion, Blaine is seemingly trying to force would-be challengers to acknowledge his sins. Pokemon has always had things to say about science, scientific advancement, and the way that those things play into our lives. As early as Gen 1, you had NPCs in Vermilion who were concerned about pollution from Grimer getting out of control. An NPC in Pallet Town is amazed at the scientific advancements that have allowed for the creation of the PC box system. You see the lengths to which Team Rocket is willing to hurt others to obtain the Master Ball. The story of Mewtwo is not dissimilar to Frankenstein, ironically written by Mary Shelley. Scientists play God and create life whole cloth, and their creation turns on them because they mistreat it. For a more modern example, Jurassic Park is very much the same. How fitting then that the island where Mewtwo is born is also the location where you can revive fossil Pokemon, just like the Jurassic Park movies. Blaine's role in all of this is a sort of end-of-the-road gateway guardian. He is the last gym leader before your final rematch with Giovanni, the final gym before returning home. Blaine stands here at the edge of the world, burdened with knowledge. But he doesn't seem to be concerned with atonement or penitence in the traditional sense. Instead, Blaine seems to be warning newcomers. Look upon my works, ye mighty, and despair. See the grand laboratory that was once my domain, the discoveries that were once my source of pride. See what power and pride, devoid of compassion and a deep care for the well-being of Pokemon, earned me. Do not repeat my mistakes, young trainer, in search of the championship.